This is Partners in Crime with Adam Croft and...
Not the other one. Hello, welcome to episode 152 of Partners in Crime. Adrian Hobart is back in the other hot seat over there this week. Hello, Adrian.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Well, so very well. I'm coming down with a bit of a cold.
Yeah,
which,
I'm just coming out the other end of one, so good luck.
Well, I know it's not COVID, it's back to schoolitis, which my son very kindly brought home for me last week. He's been a bit ill over the weekend and earlier this week, and yeah, did all the testing. Doing a lateral flow test on a 4-year-old is not as much fun as it sounds. I will say that, but seeing as he was the only one who had symptoms at the time, it had to be done properly. But yeah, I'm now heading down that way. So
it's a horrible feeling when you know it's coming.
Yeah. Well, I do this thing, you see, where my immune system tries fighting things for a long time. And I kind of feel just slightly under the weather for a while. I think, okay, but I think I'm getting through this. And then it just lands.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm kind of expecting to be feeling a little bit rough for a few days and then be bedridden. But there we go. So if I do start coughing or sound a bit croaky during today's episode, you know why. But I'll crack on.
I've got my microphone ready to ride here in case I cough, because no one wants to hear that.
Straight down on the fader. Unfortunately, video for patrons, we've got no way of hiding. They will see us coughing, but at least you won't hear it. Straight into the news then. Alison Flood in The Guardian had an article about Richard Osman's new book, which we spoke about on last week's show, The Man Who Died Twice, the follow-up to Thursday Murder Club. It's become, funnily enough, one of the fastest-selling novels since records began. It was published on the 16th of September, and it continues the adventures of Osman's gang of elderly sleuths. It sold, in its first 3 days on sale, 114,202 copies in 3 days, according to Nielsen. That is one of the fastest-selling novels now since Nielsen began to track sales in the late 1990s. The only books which have sold more in their first week is Dan Brown's Lost Symbol and Inferno, and J.K. Rowling's A Casual Vacancy, as well as Harper Lee's posthumous Ghost Set a Watchman. So he's in very good company, to say the least. He also topped the paperback charts last week with the Thursday Murder Club, which sold 23,966 paperbacks just last week, a book that's been out a year. The last time an author scored a double fiction chart number one was March 2017, it says here in The Guardian, when James Patterson's 16th Seduction topped the hardback fiction chart and Never Never topped the paperback lists. Thursday Murder Club's now sold more than 1 million copies since it was published in September last year. And in a year, 52 weeks, of course, famously, that book has spent 45 of them at the top of the fiction bestseller lists.
But is he happy?
Well, I imagine he would like 52.
He
failed for 7 weeks of the year. He cannot be happy with himself, surely.
No, I know. And that would have been, presumably Sally Rooney booted him off the top for 1 week only. And then, possibly a Jamie Oliver debut would have shoved him aside for 1 week only. So, yeah, there are certain people who can still command number one status, but not for long. It is phenomenal. It's really interesting. One of the things he's been saying recently about the books is that, of course, he's faced accusations that it's only done well because he's famous in the UK with a tea time audience, a certain type of audience, if you like, very well known. He's the most likeable man on British television in many ways. I mean, there's no side to him. He's a very bright bloke.
You can say that when Mr. Dawes isn't here, of course.
Yeah, yes. But the fact is that he has been number one in other countries too. So,
and Steven Spielberg bought the film rights. I mean,
right.
He doesn't watch Pointless. I'm pretty sure of that. And yeah, don't forget he'd also written a book and shown it to publishers and agents and what have you on the quiet. It wasn't done and sold because of the name. But the Express, a very very different newspaper to the Guardian, have also been covering this story, but in a slightly different way. They've mentioned the fact that despite the roaring success of Thursday Murder Club, Richard Osman's been talking about getting negative reviews, or one particularly negative review, which upset him, by crime writer Joan Smith, who reviewed his work in the Sunday Times. He said it felt like a vindictive attack on him. Joan Smith wrote the book was a novel so flawed, it's hard to believe it would ever have been published without a celebrity's name on the cover. And Richard told the Radio Times that did upset me. It felt very personal, like it wasn't really a reflection on the book, but a vindictive attack on me. He says, success doesn't armour plate you against feelings, and I do get upset by things. However, he said not all reviews, of course, have been bad, and that other peers have been kinder. He says, I've been very warmly welcomed into the crime fiction world, which I think probably says far more than a review by Joan Smith, which I'm not quite sure what the point of all that was really, but I don't actually know who she is, I must say.
Well, I'm now going to have to look her up, so it's done. It's great publicity for her. But I wonder how many 1 stars she's got. I bet she's got a few reviews. Everyone has. You look at any book, any film, whatever you think might be the most successful or best thing of all time, there will always be people who don't like it. Of course. That's just how it works. Any art form is a matter of opinion. Yeah. People don't like the Beatles. What? Yeah, there'll be people who don't like the Beatles, I'm sure, and I'm also quite sure they don't care. No. I mean, a couple of them are dead and definitely don't care, but I'm sure the others don't mind either too much. So yes, there we go. That was my news to kick things off. Shall we delve into the world of publishing a little bit as well? Because I know we do both run publishing companies as well. Yours, of course, much larger than mine, but you had some news you mentioned beforehand that might actually end up affecting readers, which is, I think, in short, Richard Osman's used all the paper. Yeah, it does sound like it. Yeah, we got a message from the biggest printers in the country who you use, and we've started using too at Hobart, Clays, and they said that one of our orders will be 2 weeks late because of a shortage of paper. And it's down to what's affecting the rest of the UK economy. Lack of HGV drivers, shifting things between places. And so we've got a 2-week delay on something. I mean, we're fortunate that it's launching 2 weeks after the new order date will be delivered. So we can cope. To put that into context, the print runs normally take 2 or 3 weeks anyway. I'm not quite sure where they are at the moment. They fluctuate a little bit, but it's normally 2 to 3 weeks anyway. So to add 2 weeks onto that, you're not adding 2 onto 12. We're doubling the amount of time it's taking to get books out. That's a very fair point. And one of the stresses of what we do is to try and make sure that we've got stock. The last thing you want is to lose momentum over a book, which is in demand, and the shops simply can't get it, or we can't get copies to send out from our website or whatever it might be, or even review copies. That's a pain, but we've got a number of books coming out sort of late part of this year, so if it's going to affect all of them, we're going to have to accelerate our production process so that they're ready to go over to Clays and get printed. So yeah, I mean, I guess what it boils down to is, if you see it on the shelf, buy it. Yeah, and there are knock-on effects as well, because I know quite often it's a case of having to pay up front for runs as well. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you're paying weeks earlier for a product that you're not going to be getting and it's not going to be sold until later, I mean, publishing is a very kind of front-heavy investment system anyway, isn't it? You put a lot in up front and you get it back a long time later. So to be accelerating that and having outgoings going out earlier, and even not knowing if there'll be further delays. We know it's 2 weeks at the moment. Yeah, and look, one of the beauties of working with them is they're very communicative, which is not the case necessarily with other outfits. There's a person at the end of a phone or an email, which, let's be honest, and the same person as well. Yeah, that's the beauty. Usually the same person who knows you. That's right. So they know your product, and they're kind of rooting for you in a way. So for them to have to make this call is quite a big thing. But as you say, a lot of it goes out up front, and I think that's what no one ever says when you set up a business like this. That you've got to have deep pockets to start with, and it's delayed gratification in terms of rewards afterwards.
Well, let's hope Richard Osman doesn't need another print run,
Oh.
because I'm fairly sure that would end up being being prioritised for obvious reasons, and I'll certainly wouldn't blame them for doing so. But again, that will have knock-on effects. Let's maybe lighten things up a little bit rather than us whinging about the publishing industry. I will mention the fact that if you are a Partners in Crime patron, you can, probably are, watching this episode live on our Patreon page, on your Patreon dashboard, but you also get a number of other benefits, including free book of the month. And of course, we are, well, once the general public get hold of this episode, will be in October. Our patrons will get it a few days earlier, still be in September then. The free book of the month from Kobo for October, which you get for being a patron, is Overboard. It's a cracking new book. I'll read out the blurb for you. Greg has no idea who he is. All he knows is that he has to be one lucky man. He survived a shipwreck. Washed ashore on the coast of Thailand after an epic storm, he's stunned to discover he has a Chinese wife who arrives and takes him back to family life in London. She's pregnant. When a blow to his head brings a rush of memories back, he knows why, and who his assailant is. But he is mute, disfigured, and disabled. Above all, he's penniless. How will he escape when he's living the life of the man they think he is? That's usually £3.99 on ebook, but is yours absolutely free. If you're a Partners in Crime patron, that'll be in your dashboards on the 1st of October. But if you sign up before the 7th of October, if you're not currently a patron, but you're interested in becoming one, if you sign up before the 7th of October, you'll actually get 2 free books, because September's Book of the Month by A.S. French can be claimed up until then, up until the 7th of October. That doesn't normally happen each month either, so make sure you sign up this month. You'll get early access to every episode, watch it in full HD video, also a bonus episode each week, Partners in Crime, Arsenic and Old Lace, where we talk more nonsense for another little while. You get a shout-out on the show in the week you've joined as well, and I need to very quickly, whilst making nobody aware that I'm doing this, go and double-check, because we did have one, and I need to say hello to 2 new patrons, actually, Sally Catling and Randbeck Grimson.
Wow.
Sounds like it might be an Icelandic name, so hello. We'd love for you to be our next patron. You can join at patreon.com/Partners in Crime podcast, or follow the link in the show notes. I don't know how I got through that without coughing, but I'm going to let you take over now, Adrian, so I can.
Yes, you may have seen that I had a little subtle cough, and it's a real affliction, isn't it? I've had one of those sort of runs of nights where you get into a chain of coughing, and you have to excuse yourself, take yourself somewhere else in the house and sort it out. And
my son's been doing that the whole week, all night, the whole week. It's that horrible kind of really barky, chesty cough. You sound like a seal. So yeah, he's been keeping us awake, which is not helping my attempts at fighting it, I must admit.
It's doubly painful for a parent, though, because you just don't want them to suffer. And so, that... I don't
want my eardrums to suffer either.
Yeah, no, true. But yeah, I mean,
never mind him.
I've been stuck indoors. I've not ventured out. I mean, admittedly, I've only got half a tank of fuel left, so I probably shouldn't be going anywhere anyway. But it sort of brought everything to a halt, let alone narration. I mean, I was in full flow last week, chunking through a whole load of books, doing great guns, and then suddenly it's all dried up again. I'm not quite sure when I can return. So
it takes longer than people think, doesn't it? You might feel like your voice is better and you might sound better to the ear, but in the middle of an audiobook, you can really hear the change. It can take a long time. It can take weeks for the voice to be back where it was.
I can't imagine resuming recording for at least a week, because some of the voices, quite simply, will sound terrible when the accents and things. If I try and the female characters are going to suddenly come out sounding like Les Dawson.
And Les Dawson as a male character as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking of you mentioned having half a tank of petrol. For those who are overseas, they might not realise, they probably do, but I can imagine much of the rest of the world is laughing at us, that we're not only short of gas for heating our homes, but also short of petrol and diesel for our cars and vehicles at the moment. We've had a bit of an issue on that front, which hopefully should be lifting soon. But yeah, if the queue's been mad around by you?
Pretty bad. Yeah, I as I say, I've not ventured out to have a look myself, but I get reports from Rebecca, and she says that basically people have just accepted that they're all shut, and they're just bypassing. But it's going to come. We've not seen the scenes that we've seen elsewhere, with people pulling knives and smashing each other's bonnets in and stuff like this. But it just goes to show everything is so lastminute.com in the economy. Just one little thing tips it the wrong way. And I noticed that we're not the only country with energy shortages. China having massive outages at the moment, given by the government because they can't get enough coal into their coal fired things.
It's almost as if we shouldn't be using things like gas and coal and oil, and maybe that some people have been warning for sort of 30, 40 years that this might be a bad idea.
I haven't heard those warnings.
Just throwing that one out. Just throwing that one out there.
Used to me.
Green, what's that? Yeah. But I actually live quite near a petrol station. The end of my road, turn right, and there's a big petrol station down a roundabout. But I must admit, I went out for a walk the other day. Well, I had to go to the sorting office. We'd normally drive to it. I had to do a sort of 3.5 mile round trip walking it with some parcels because I knew I wasn't going to get out of my road. This was I think the Saturday when all the things kicked off.
Yeah.
And they were queuing right up into town. One way bypass was just jammed with cars queuing. There were people driving on pavements and the wrong way up the other side of the road in order to get round the queues if they weren't going to the petrol station, but it seemed everybody was. It was absolute carnage. I've never seen anything like it. But yeah, weirdly enough, we actually managed to fill up about 2 days before all of this landed, which we had been waiting for because that petrol station had been closed the week before.
Really?
Because it had run out of fuel, yeah.
Oh.
So a lot of people are saying it's because of, media panic and people panic buying, and I'm sure that's probably accelerated things, but they'd run out the week before. The shortages have been there for a while. So yeah, we'd finally, once they'd been back open, managed to fill up because we were red lined, and yeah, it was a couple of days later that they're out again, and there we go, we've got all this panic buying going on. But there we are, we've got pretty much a full tank now, 3/4.
Oh well.
That'll do the school run.
You get to Aldi, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not going to Rutland anytime soon. But what you could do is sit at home and watch a wonderful TV series, which hopefully won't be connected at all with fuel shortages because it's going to be on later this year. Entertainment Daily say if you enjoy having your heart in your mouth, think Line of Duty and Vigil style twists, then you'll love BBC One's upcoming thriller The Girl Before, in which viewers meet Jane, who stumbles on the rental opportunity of a lifetime, the chance to live in a beautiful ultra-minimalist house designed by an enigmatic architect. The condition? That she abides by a long list of exacting rules. After moving in, she discovers that a previous tenant, Emma, met a mysterious death there and starts to wonder if her own story will be a rerun of The Girl Before. It's adapted from Anthony Capella's fictional book of the same name, which came out in 2016 and has sold over 1 million copies. Critics called the novel dazzling, compulsive, riveting and creepy. BBC has said there's 2 former EastEnders cast members on board, Ben Hardy and Jessica Plummer. It will be on BBC One. We know it's going to be later this year. That's all we do know. They've not actually confirmed a start date, but we know it will be a 4-part series. Each episode will be an hour long, and they filmed it in Bristol.
Jolly good.
They're the important bits.
Yeah.
But it sounds good. It sounds brilliant. Hopefully we'll keep an eye out for that.
I'm glad you mentioned Vigil because that's been vexing me all week.
I've not watched it. Don't ruin it for me yet. Okay. It's on the Skybox, and when I get an evening when my brain has not already melted, I'm going to attempt to start that.
Yeah, there are strengths and weaknesses, put it that way. But I tend to dwell on the weaknesses because, as Rebecca would tell you, I'm an obsessive about submarines at the moment. I don't know why. I've only been on one in a museum, but it's...
You've gone down that rabbit hole.
I have.
You found a thing.
I'm fascinated by the whole thing, yeah. And it's just the interesting scenario for the producers and the designers was that they had to make the interior of the ship so much bigger than the reality that, for me, I can't get over that creative compromise. I just can't, because they wanted to get actors walking alongside each other and talking as they went down the corridors, a bit like they used to do in Star Trek or whatever. But the simple fact is that someone has to give way on a real submarine, even the biggest ones, because equipment dominates the entire hull and the interior space. So they've made that compromise, and I just can't get over it. That's simple. For me, that's one element of credibility which is gone. So
can't you pretend it was just a really big submarine?
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. So the biggest ever built with the Russians, they built a 48,000-ton class of submarines called the Typhoon class, which was
no, bigger than that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's the sort of size. If you think about, the ships we took to the Falklands in 1982, none of them were
4 years before I was born.
Oh, okay.
I remember it well.
Yeah, okay. Well,
just to make you feel older.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah. Well, the ships that the Navy took there were only sort of 20,000 tons at most, and so if you think about a submarine that's 48,000, but even there, I bet it was cramped compared to. I mean, albeit they had a swimming pool on board, believe it or not, and a sauna for the crew.
Imagine trying to give way in a swimming pool like that. Just one very thin lane, and yeah. I imagine they must have had a bit more room there.
I think so. I mean, the interesting thing with that one is that Vigil, they're saying that because it's been so popular and it got great viewing figures, despite my qualms, they're going to bring it back. Now, the thing is, they've done the submarine thing, so what else can they do? What other closed environment can they create where someone's trying to solve a crime within the confines of a closed community? So that's the trick.
Well, I don't know. I mean, as I say, I've not watched it, so we'll try and be careful on the spoilers. I'm sure there'll be other people who haven't watched it as well. But I'm guessing the submarine's not an option. I don't know.
Well, given they've pretty much threw everything you could do to a submarine short of sinking it, I think they've run out of drama potential.
Okay. Right, okay, yeah. That was the kind of question I was asking without giving anything away. But yeah, okay. Well, I'll watch it, and hopefully I'll be able to contribute a bit more to the discussion, because I feel like I'm taking a bit of a backseat, nodding along, going, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know nothing about submarines, not seen Vigil, but it does sound very, very good, and I've heard brilliant things. So I will make a concerted attempt to watch that. But if TV is less your thing, if you're more into your reading, then you might be interested to know that Partners in Crime is gratefully sponsored by Kobo, one of the world's largest ebook retailers. And as a Partners in Crime listener, you can get a massive 90% off your first ebook purchase from them. You don't need an e-reader or a special device. You can read on your mobile or your tablet, but the devices are very, very good, so do consider it. Head over to kobo.com, enter the promo code CRIME at the checkout, and if you're an existing customer, follow the link in the show notes and use promo code PARTNERS to get 40% off of selected ebook purchases for the rest of your life, or until Kobo decide they don't want to do it anymore, which hopefully they won't. They've been with us since day one, and we're on episode 152, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, 300 at least.
I'll ask. Do you have anything else in your arsenal, Adrian? Or
no, I think we can take that behind the curtains of Arsenic and Old Lace.
Ah, okay. There you go. So he's good at this, isn't he? He's really trying to get new patrons on board. Yeah. He's doing the teaser. This is where you get the answers. This is where you get the real material.
Yeah, the really good stuff is hidden. Sorry, but I've already given away the plot of Vigil. What more could you want? But
yeah, we'll put the rest behind the paywall.
Yeah.
So what do you have planned for the rest of your week while you're resting your voice? And sorry about dragging you on here to talk for an hour.
It's been,
and also I guess having a break from narration. So
yeah, no, I mean I think we've got a lot of publishing work our end. We've got a new book out next Tuesday, which is Be Sure Your Sins by Harry Fisher. It's just brilliant. Sort of Ian Rankin meets Martin Amis is how I describe that one.
Oh, blimey!
Yeah,
that'd be an interesting bar fight to watch.
Yeah, it would. No, it's set in Leith, so there's your Rankin connection, and it's a social satire as much as it's a fantastic crime book. So we love it. And so that's out next week. Oh. That will be dominating our thoughts. And then, we've got books coming out pretty much every week for the rest of this autumn, it feels like. So, a lot of work around those.
Good. I'm going to grab myself a copy of that because it does sound very, very good. It's a crime, thriller and social satire. That sounds just like my cup of tea. And if I do end up getting laid up for a week in bed, I've got something to read then. Is that out next week, did you say?
Out next week, yeah, that's right.
Okay. I'll try not to be bedridden until then. in the meantime, I think coffee fill up and we'll crack on with Arsenic and Old Lace while we're both still standing. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Brilliant. See you next week, everybody else.
Partners in Crime was presented by Adam Croft
Not the other one.
and produced by Adam Croft. The theme tune was by the Caesareans. The Partners in Crime logo and imagery were designed by Stuart Beisch. Partners in Crime is sponsored by Kobo, your favourite local bookshop, perfected.